Oh, hello, great pictures. I'm Belchan.
I'm Nimakong.
I'm Van Chan.
In this class, I'll read all of your part of Great Expectations.
S.
L.
Great Expectations. Charles Dickens. Chap, 1861. It was in the 4th year of my apprenticeship to Joe, and it was a Saturday night. There was a group assembled round the fire at the Three Jilly Bargemen, attentive to Mr. Wopsle as he read the newspaper aloud. Of that group I was one. A highly popular murder had been committed, and Mr. Wopsle was embrued in blood to the eyebrows. He gloated over every apparent adjective in the description, and identified himself with every witness at the inquest. He faintly moaned, "I am done for as the victim," and he barbarously bellowed, "I'll serve you out as the murderer." He gave the medical testimony, in pointed imitation of our local practitioner, and he papped Tenchik, asked the aged turnpike keeper who had heard blows, of that witness. The coroner, in Mr. Wopsle's sense, became to men of Athens, the Beda, Carolines. He enjoyed himself thoroughly, and we all enjoyed ourselves, and were delightfully comfortable. In this gusty state of mind we came to the verdict of a murder, and not sooner. Ned, looking on, there was an expression of contempt on his face. Faces. "Well," said the stranger to Mr. Wopsle, when the reading was done, "you have settled it all to your own satisfaction." Everybody started and looked up, as if it were the murderer. He looked at everybody coldly and sarcastically. LT. "Of course," said he. "Out with it." "Sir," returned Mr. Wopsle, "without having the honour of your acquaintance." "By I know you do," said the stranger. "I knew you would. I told you so. But now I'll ask you a question. Do you know, or do you not know, that the law of England supposes every man to be innocent?" Sir, Mr. Wopsle began to reply, "As an Englishman myself." "Come," said the stranger, biting his forefinger at him, "don't evade the question. Either you know it, or you don't know it." He stood with his head on one side and himself on one side, in a bullying, interrogative manner, and he threw his forefinger at Mr. Wopsle as it were to mark him out before biting it again. "Now," said he, "do you know it?" "Certainly I know it," replied Mr. Wopsle. "Certainly you know it. Then why didn't you say so at first?" "Ban, I'll ask you another question, taking position of Mr. Wopsle." Mr. Wopsle was beginning. I can only say when the stranger stopped him. "What? You won't answer the question. Yes or no?" "Ban, I'll try you again," throwing his finger at him again. A Attend to me. Are you aware? Or are you not aware that none of these witnesses have yet been cross-examined? Come. I only want one word from you. Es. Wisst. Wopsle hesitated, and we all began to conceive rather a poor opinion of him. Come, said the stranger. I'll help you. You don't deserve help, but I'll help you. Look at that paper you hold in your hand. What is it? Repeated Mr. Wopsle, eyeing it. Much at a loss. Is it? Pursued the stranger in his most sarcastic and suspicious manner. Undoubtedly. Man, turn to that paper. I read that just now, Mr. Wopsle pleaded. Never mind what you read just now. I don't ask you what you read just now. You may read the Lord's Prayer backwards, if you like, and perhaps have done it before today. Turn to the paper. Well, no. No, my friend. Not to the top of the column. You know better than that. To the bottom. To the bottom. We all began to think Mr. Wopsle full of subterfuge. Well, here it is, said Mr. Wopsle. Follow that passage with your eye. Instructed by his legal advisers wholly to reserve his defense. Calm. Mr. Wopsle said. Not the exact words, repeated the gentleman bitterly. Yes, said Mr. Wopsle. Yes, repeated the stranger. Witness. Wopsle. And now I ask you what you say to the conscience of that man who, with that passage before his eyes, can lay his head upon his pillow after having pronounced a fellow creature guilty. We all began to suspect that Mr. Wopsle was not the man we had thought, and that he was beginning to be found out. And that same man, remember, pursued the gentleman, throwing his finger at Mr. Wopsle evilly, that same man might be summoned as a German upon this very trial, and then, having thus deeply committed himself, might return to the bosom of his family and lay his head upon his pillow. Sovereign Lord the King and the prisoner at the bar, and would a true verdict give according to the evidence? We were all deeply persuaded that the unfortunate Wopsle had gone too far, and had better stop in his reckless career while there was yet time. The strange gentleman, with an air of authority not to be disputed, would effectually do for each individual if he chose to disclose it, left the back of the settle, and came into the space between the two settles, in front of the fire, where he remained standing, his left hand in his pocket, and he biting the forefinger of his right. From information I've received, said he, looking round at us as we all quoted before him, I have reason to believe there is a blacksmith among you, by name Joseph Turgey Gargery. Here is the man, said Joe. The strange gentleman beckoned him out of his place, and Joe went. You have an apprentice, pursued the stranger, commonly known as Bob. I am here, I cried. The stranger did not recognize me, but I recognized him as the gentleman I had met on the stairs, on the occasion of my second visit to Miss Havisham. I had known him the moment I saw him looking over the sittle. And now that I stood confronting him with his hand upon my shoulder, I checked off again in detail his large head, his dark complexion, his deep-set eyes, his bushy black eyebrows, his large watch chain, his strong black dots of beard and whisker, and even the smell of scented soap on his great hand. "I wish to have a private conference with you two," said he. When he had surveyed me at his leisure. "It will take a little time. Perhaps we had better go to your place of residence. I prefer not to anticipate my communication here. Friends afterwards." Amidst a wondering silence, we three walked out of the Jolly Bargeman, and in a wondering silence walked home. While going along, the strange gentleman occasionally looked at me, and occasionally bit the side of his finger. As we neared home, Joe vaguely acknowledging the occasion as an impressive and ceremonious one, went on ahead to open the front door. Our conference was held in the state parlour, which was feebly lighted by one candle. It began with the strange gentleman sitting down at the table, drawing the candle to him, and looking over some entries in his pocketbook. He then put up the pocketbook and set the candle a little aside, after peering round it into the darkness at Joe and me, to ascertain which was which. "My name," he said, "is Jaggers, and I am a lawyer in London. I am pretty well known. I have unusual business to transact with you, and I commence by explaining that it is not of my originating. If my advice had been asked, I should not have been here. It was not asked, and you see me here. What I have to do is the confidential agent of another. I do, no less." Finding that he could not see us very well from where he sat, he got up and threw one leg over the back of a chair and leaned upon it, thus having one foot on the seat of a chair and one foot on the ground. "Man, Joseph Gargery, apprentice. You would not object to cancel his indentures at his request and for his good?" "Lord forbid that I should want anything for not standing in Pip's way," said Joe. Stein. "Lord forbidding is pious, but not to the purpose," returns to Jaggers. To be continued.